and Abimelech died. When the Israelites saw that Abimelech was dead, they all went home. God punished Abimelech for the evil he had done to his brothers, and also punished the people of Shechem for their own wickedness, fulfilling Jotham's warning. Tola was the next person to rescue Israel. He belonged to the Issachar tribe, but he lived in Shamir, a town in the hill country of Ephraim. His father was Puah, and his grandfather was Dodo. Tola was a leader of Israel for 23 years. Then he died and was buried in Shamir. Jair. The next leader of Israel was Jair, who lived in Gilead. He was a leader for 22 years. He had 30 sons, and each son had his own mule and was in charge of one town in Gilead. Those 30 towns are still called the settlements of Jair. When he died, he was buried in the town of Kamon. Before long, the Israelites began disobeying the Lord by worshipping Baal, Astarte and gods from Syria, Sidon, Moab, Ammon, and Philistia. The Lord was angry with Israel and decided to let Philistia and Ammon conquer them. So the same year that Jair died, Israel's army was crushed by these two nations. For 18 years Ammon was cruel to the Israelites who lived in Gilead, the region east of the Jordan River that had once belonged to the Amorites. Then the Ammonites began crossing the Jordan and attacking the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim. Life was miserable for the Israelites. They begged the Lord for help and confessed, "We were unfaithful to you, our Lord. We stopped worshiping you and started worshiping idols of Baal." The Lord answered, "In the past, when you came crying to me for help, I rescued you. At one time or another, I've rescued you from the Egyptians, the Amorites, the Ammonites, the Philistines, the Sidonians, the Amalekites, and the Maonites. But I'm not going to rescue you anymore. You've left me and gone off to worship other gods. If you're in such big trouble, go and cry to them for help." "We have been unfaithful to you," the Israelites admitted. "If we must be punished, do it yourself. But please rescue us from the Ammonites." Then the Israelites got rid of the idols of the foreign gods, and they began worshiping only the Lord. Finally, there came a time when the Lord could no longer stand to see them suffer. The rulers of Ammon called their soldiers together and led them to Gilead, where they set up camp. The Israelites gathered at Mizpah and set up camp there. The leaders of Gilead asked each other, "Who can lead an attack on the Ammonites?" Then they agreed, "If we find someone who can lead the attack, we'll make him the ruler of Gilead." The leaders of the Gilead clan decided to ask a brave warrior named Jephthah, son of Gilead, to lead the attack against the Ammonites. Even though Jephthah belonged to the Gilead clan, he had earlier been forced to leave the region where they had lived. Jephthah was the son of a prostitute, but his half-brothers were the sons of his father's wife. His half-brothers, ashamed of him, drove him out of their family so he wouldn't share in their father's inheritance. Cast out, Jephthah fled to the land of Tob, where he gathered a band of followers, adventurers who rallied around him. Years passed, and trouble came upon Israel. The Ammonites waged war against Gilead, and the elders, desperate for a leader, remembered Jephthah's strength. They journeyed to Tob and pleaded with him to return and lead them into battle. Jephthah questioned their motives. "Didn't you hate me and drive me away? Why come to me now in your time of trouble?" But the elders insisted, promising to make him their head if he would deliver them. Jephthah agreed and returned to Mizpah as their commander and leader. Before going to war, Jephthah tried peace first. He sent messengers to the king of Ammon, asking why he attacked Israel. The king claimed Israel had stolen his lands when coming out of Egypt. But Jephthah responded with a long message, recounting Israel's journey through the wilderness. He explained how Israel had taken land not from the Ammonites, but from the Amorites, after being refused passage. He declared that Israel had possessed the land for hundreds of years and had no reason to give it up. Yet the king of Ammon ignored Jephthah's words. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah. As he prepared for battle, he made a solemn vow to God. "If you give the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering." Jephthah went to war and crushed the Ammonites, striking them down from city to city. Israel was saved, and Jephthah returned home victorious. But as he approached his house, joy turned to horror, for the first to come dancing out to greet him was his only child, his beloved daughter, playing a tambourine and rejoicing at his victory. "Oh no," Jephthah cried. Then he tore his clothes in sorrow and said to his daughter, "I made a sacred promise to the Lord, and I must keep it. Your coming out to meet me has broken my heart." "Father," she said, "you made a sacred promise to the Lord, and he let you defeat the Ammonites. Now you must do what you promised, even if it means I must die. But first, please let me spend 2 months wandering in the hill country with my friends. We will cry together because I can never get married and have children." "Yes, you may have 2 months," Jephthah said. She and some other girls left, and for 2 months they wandered in the hill country, crying because she could never get married and have children. Then she went back to her father. He did what he had promised, and she never got married. After Jephthah's victory, the men of Ephraim angrily accused him of leaving them out of the fight and threatened to burn his house down. Jephthah replied that he'd called them, but they didn't come, so he fought the Ammonites himself. A battle broke out between Jephthah's Gileadites and the Ephraimites. The Gileadites seized the Jordan River crossings and used a test word, shibboleth, to catch fleeing Ephraimites, who mispronounced it as Sibboleth. Because of this, 42,000 Ephraimites were killed. Jephthah ruled Israel for 6 years, then died and was buried in Gilead. Ibzan.